Ladies and gentlemen, fight fans all around the world, let's talk some boxing. So what I'm going to do in the next set of videos is talk about the best ever boxers. Let me lay down the foundation first and foremost by telling you what I understand the best ever to be, and why the best ever has nothing to do with the greatest boxers. When we say the best ever, we're talking about in terms of boxing IQ, boxing skill, boxing ability. We're simply talking about what the fighter does in the ring. And when we talk about the greatest boxer ever, we include all the other intangibles, such as their influence on the sport of boxing, their influence in the world, their personalities, their entertainment value, and all the other intangibles that make people think of them, their popularity, etc. So, Muhammad Ali is, as he self-professed at his time, the greatest that ever was to do boxing, because he had the entertainment value. He became very popular worldwide. To this day, the name Muhammad Ali is known by people who don't even know about boxing. That makes him the greatest ever. But when we talk about the best ever, we are talking simply about boxing, their skill, their techniques, their IQ. Okay, so we're going to begin this, and we're going to talk about the best ever candidates as boxers. I want to mention first and foremost the pugilistic scientist, Gene Tunney. Now, a lot of you don't know who that guy is. You know maybe about the Sugar Ray Robinsons, the Sugar Ray Leonards, the Muhammad Alis. You may even know about the Jack Johnsons. But in the 1920s, there arose a scientist, a man who studied boxing, and you can find on YouTube film on Gene Tunney. I want to mention Gene Tunney because he contributed pugilistic science to boxing. I'm not saying that in his era there weren't boxers who used science, but Gene Tunney approached the art of boxing as a science. A lot of people remember Jack Dempsey, and somehow Gene Tunney is not mentioned. As devastating and as terrifying as Jack Dempsey was, he could never beat Gene Tunney. As sensational as he was beaten twice by Gene Tunney. In fact, when we look at Gene Tunney's record in boxing, he only had one loss and one draw. His loss was somewhat controversial against Harry Kreb, who people consider, for some reason, one of the best boxers in the world. He went on to avenge his loss to Harry Kreb by beating him so bad that Harry Kreb said, "Please don't knock me out, Gene." Gene Tunney was a pugilistic scientist of the fine art of boxing, and must be mentioned is one of the candidates for the best ever in boxing. This man was a heavyweight in the time of the 1920s. He moved beautifully and countered like a master boxer for his time. The rules were a little different, the gloves were a little different, but he approached it like a science. And his counterpunching was second to none. 6 feet tall, with a 76-inch reach. A man who was in the Marines. Gene Tunney really proved to be one of the greatest boxers out there. But better than that, his boxing IQ was above a lot of people's boxing IQ, even to this day. If you go up on YouTube, you will find video on Gene Tunney. And also on YouTube, if you go to this title here, Gene Tunney versus Jack Dempsey, they actually have the restored version of that fight. You know, Dempsey used to crouch low, come in his opponent, ambush them, and then attack him. He knew that to stay low against your opponent, it was hard for them to counter you. Watch how Gene Tunney took his offensive maneuvers and used them against Jack Dempsey. Gene Tunney, one of the candidates for the best ever. You guys have a great day.